Hello.
Hello, everyone, and my name is Cameron, and I am the friend of Charlene. How long have you considered yourself as such? 7 years, I consider myself as gay. Um, yeah, I actually came out when I was like 16, going on 17 years old. So, yeah, 7 years.
See, that's a really interesting question because I've known since I was 16 that I was at least interested in guys. And the girls thing is like, there, because I go by personality, but I don't know, like, if I really identified myself as pansexual or queer until, like, maybe 19, maybe as late as 22, between that time. Because, I really wasn't really reconciling that this was, like, fluid or whatever, you know? I don't know. I guess I really became aware that, like, this was a community that I belonged to, for sure, let's say 17, 18. But it wasn't until, like, maybe 19 or 20 that I, like, kind of just said, hey, I probably should find more people like me.
Right.
Yeah. It's not really something you think about until, like, later.
And then, what were some issues that you faced in the beginning?
Whether or not I was going to immediately come out, I think. Because at the time, I was in my first relationship with a male, and that wasn't necessarily an issue, but it was also, like, constant discussion. Well, I shouldn't say constant. It was definitely discussion that came up a lot, like, a lot. So, I don't want to say that I felt pressured, but it was always something in the back of my mind. And then I think the roles that you're supposed to play as far as, like, are you effeminate or are you masculine, or, you know, are you in some type of no man's neutrality kind of deal, or are you out and proud, or are you just, like, kind of more subdued with it? And I think that the weird random mix of all of that I was an issue for some people because they weren't used to it. Like, I don't know. And trying to figure out everything along with that was interesting. Very, very interesting.
Was it hard to come out? Yes, it was hard for me to definitely come out. When I was getting ready to turn 18 years old, I finally came out to my mom. It was really hard for me because my mom hasn't been in my life since day one. It's been a long time since she's been in my life, and I really do value her opinion. I do value her, and when I came out to her, it was hard because I cried. I cried really hard, and I even talked to my aunt about it, and my aunt and spoke with her too, who is dear to my heart as well, and she knew about my sexuality as well too. So it was definitely hard for me to come out. It was. What was the reaction of those around you when you did come out? The reaction was, to be honest, everybody was really happy though. Um, I'm not gonna lie, it was some people that may have been a little shocked as far as with my friends. Um, when I came out to one of my friends, which was my first friend, Jaleesa, in high school, I came out to her first, before anybody in my family. And she was somewhat shocked. I can tell it on her face, but she was understandable at the same time. But as far as with my family, they did state, in my mom too, she said that she always knew that I was, but she just waited on me to come out to her. So the reaction of people was they was actually excited. They were happy. They didn't feel disgusted. They felt comfortable around me, even if I was gay. and they didn't look at me no different. So, yeah, they were excited.
I'm still learning how to balance that, because right now I almost treat it like church and state, like it's separate. But not really at the same time. Like, the people who need to know right now need to know, because I know that it's not an issue for them. But as far as like church responsibilities and dealing with that, as well as being a part of the LGBTQ community, it's definitely been a reprogramming of sorts, because I am involved not only in the church, but I was raised in the black church, and that was like homophobia was definitely a thing, and it was very much preached that it was wrong, and so that, of course, shifted my viewpoint on God, and I had to really remind myself that the idea of God is not something that's purely wrathful, and I think that God loves his children no matter what, his or her children no matter what. And I feel like learning that and coming to terms with myself has made that easier as far as being a model Christian.
What advice would you give others that are struggling with identity and sexual orientation coming out to people? The advice I can give you is that don't hold back of telling someone who you are. Don't, because it's going to eat you up inside. It's because with me personally, when I first came out, it ate me up. Some people that don't come out, sometimes they can go into suicidal because they're afraid of coming out to their family. They're afraid of coming out to their friends. You're pretty much afraid of coming out to the world. Be comfortable who you are, and be comfortable and have confidence on what you're telling that person of you coming out. Don't be afraid. You can tell someone who you trust, that you can actually rely on, of coming out to them and feeling comfortable of expressing how you feel. Don't hesitate, because if you keep it bottled up inside, it's going to eat at you, and it's going to constantly eat at you over and over again to the point it can be enough. And I've seen some people, kill themselves of them not coming out to anyone because they were afraid of being judged. And don't feel that way. It's okay for you to be afraid, but at the same time, be comfortable who you are.
In the beginning of my college career, I talked with the college counselor for various different reasons. Not only navigating the coming to terms with self. I hate that phrase. Like, I don't know why, because it's not, you're not coming to terms with yourself. You're learning more of yourself. You're discovering yourself. It's like sweeping off the dust. But that clearing and cleansing phase, if you will, was very essential, because I needed to talk about what was happening in my life. And I appreciate the counselor that I spoke with, because he and I had a commonality. And it's very nice to conversate with someone that knows what you're going through, having been there, and not necessarily judging you as well, because they know how delicate of a process this is. I respect that.
Do you think it would have been more difficult to have someone without that common ground?
I think there would have been a lot more pieces to fill in. Not that this counselor gave me all the pieces, but talking with someone who has been there and would be comfortable leading you to your own discoveries makes it easier to let it settle in. You don't want to just gloss over something and then keep speeding through the process and then all of a sudden hit a wall. Like that's not a good way to go about it. It's something that you really have to go at your own pace, and our counselor definitely did that.
What are some of the misconceptions people in the straight community have about the gay community? From my experience personally, of dealing with a straight person or a straight guy, period, women that are straight or even men, they actually, from what I've dealt with, they feel comfortable with a person in the gay community being gay. And then there are some that don't feel comfortable. The misconceptions that some people do have as far as towards a gay person of being in the straight community, they think that, oh my gosh, wait, that person is gay. Oh my goodness, like they're gonna do this to me, or they're gonna pretty much try to give me AIDS or anything like that. Some people that's straight in the straight community, they think of it as a disease, from what I've heard from some people. It's not a disease. It's actually something that you do feel and that you can't sometimes overcome. You can overcome it, don't get me wrong. By you being gay, it's some ways that you are going to overcome of being who you are. But at the same time, if you try to overcome it, it's still going to be within you, and you're going to still have those feelings either way it go. And the straight community, they sometimes can be a little mean towards gay people, some of them, not all of them, because they think that gay people should not love the same gender, that they shouldn't love the same sex. And I think that that's, it shouldn't be the idea of a straight person thinking that way.
I know this is going to sound like I'm singling a select group out, but I'm doing this because this is from my own experience.
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely like to see more queer black men mentored, because there is a stigma that there's only two routes to go. Either you're out and flaming and and there's nothing wrong with that, like, be who you want to be. Either you're out there and you're flamboyant and freaking fabulous, you're out there, or you're just like, you're down low and you're chilling and you're private. And there's nothing wrong with being discreet or to yourself, but at the same time, I think it's incredibly dangerous to deny yourself. And we see a lot. I see a lot of black men that I knew self-destruct because of it. And it's unfortunately not a good situation. So for the selfish part of me, that's what I would want to see. But I also definitely want to see, like, queer guys and not so queer guys be able to chill out. Like, that's, I don't understand. Like, why is that, like, not a thing? Like, I totally want to play football sometimes. Like, but, like, seriously, though, like, and I think for the most part we are becoming more progressive, and it's definitely becoming more common, but we still got a ways to go.